We will learn a beautiful piece of Zera Shimshon and get to Parshat Matot. The Parshat Matot discusses the Milchemes Midyan, what Klal Yisrael had to come to be noikem, there to revenge this tremendous nikam of Klal Yisrael, of the Rabbeinu Shalom from Midyan, who did everything in order to bring Klal Yisrael to a situation where they fall into Taivas, and there was a terrible fall into Taivas, and also there's so many Yidden that fell into because of the Magefa with the Taivas that Midyan brought to Klal Yisrael, and Notoim Nikmas Bnei Yisrael and Nikmas Hashem Eisa Midyanim, and Moshe Rabbeinu, that was his final thing to do before he's Achar Yosef Alam Yecho. Afterwards he's going to leave this world, but this he had to take care of. And this parsha has a beautiful medrash, Medrash Tanchume, Ois Beis, in Medrash Tanchume, beginning of the parsha, and the medrash tells us a very, very interesting thing, where it talks about the Milchemes Midyan. It begins with the pasuk of Nekoim Niknas Bnei Yisrael, Meisa Midyanim, that Moshe Rabbeinu has to make sure that he takes revenge from these Midyanim, and in Oimek, in depth, the idea was not just to take revenge, but through the sinah to the Midyanim, and which would express itself, this hatred with the Milchama, with a war against the Midyanim, they would be oiker, they would be uprooting the connection to Taivas the Midyan brought into them, and this way they'll be able to be a tikkun, a fixed up Klal Yisrael. That's what the Orchaim HaKodesh speaks about in last week's parsha, on the words Tzoros HaMidyanim, V'yikisa Moisam. If you have time, look at the Orchaim HaKodesh. But Lamaisa, in this pasuk, what it says later on, is the Yidden went to the Milchama, and they took the Chatzotz Reis, which we know, some maybe say, it means the shofars. It means shofar, the shofars that they brought to the Milchama. And it's very interesting that because of that, the Medrash discusses at length a very interesting thing to do with Chatzotz Reis, the way Yidden used to blow shofar in order to bring the Shabbos in. And the Medrash discusses it very much at length, and therefore the Mefarshim are very bothered by it, as Shimshon is bothered by why is this Medrash so ma'arich about the Indian of Chatzotz of Shabbos. Let's see the words of the Medrash. Yilamdeinu Rabbeinu, Tamat ki ois toikim be'erev Shabbos. This is the same sugya we find in Shabbos Lachlamed Heim, the base that they used to blow tkiyas in Erev Shabbos to levatel asom in Hamaloch, in order to get people out of working and to know that Shabbos is coming in and to be ready to accept the Holy Queen, Shabbos Queen. So this is like we have today, sirens, and we have nigunim, Baruch Hashem, but this in the olden days they used to use a shofar in order to be moidia, in order to announce the Shabbos. So what does it say? It says, Kachshonim Rabbi Seinu, Shosh Tekiyas Tokim Erev Shabbos. 3 Tekiyas one would blow in Erev Shabbos. Ketzad, Chazan HaKnesses, Noitel Es HaChatzotzos. So the Shabbos would take the Chatzotzus, which means shofar, like Rashi says in Shabbos, Lamed Hey on the base. The oil legag gavoya shel ir. He goes up to this high roof in the city, and he blows. And it was like a big high roof in the center of the city, and he was able to blow, and everyone was going to hear. First, the Kiyah was for Kol Misha Yerochik Min Ha'ir. Anyone who was far from the city, he would leave his work from the big far from the city. Now, people are not supposed to work on Shabbos afternoon, because it's not, you don't get a siman bracha. But there were certain stores that were things that, or certain vocations that were needed very much for before Shabbos, so people were buying food and things like that, and also kipshutei malacha. So there was a tzorech, there was a need to stop them from working. And so first Tkiyah was for those Rochik Min Ha'ir, stop the Malacha and start coming close to the city. And then the next Tkiyah, when they finally get close to the city, is to stop the Kroivim who were close to the city. And now they're going to stop, and they're going to come in together with the Rechaikim who already came to them. They're all going to come into the city. That's already the second Tkiyah. Shlish is the third one, is when already they're home and they're stopping physical work. They would be matmin, they would put into the oven, whatever way, how you do atmana of Erev Shabbos, the chont, the candle of Shabbos, Neres Shabbos. Gomer milit koya, and then after these 3 tkiyas, there was also a Tekiah through a Tekiah like to be a final grand finale, and that was to make sure that everything's finished. If there was a candle in the hand of the woman, she was lighting it, so manachas oisa ba'aretz. And then there's this beautiful lashon in the Medrash, HaShabbos miskadeshes b'chatzotzros. The Shabbos becomes sanctified with chatzotzros, which we explained was shofar. So this needs to be explained. What's exactly this grace, this big arichos about it? And we talk about this strange lashon that Shabbos being miskadesh b'chatzotzros. What's that supposed to mean? And we mentioned the Rosh Chodesh, and Moyad Yud also used chatzotzros, and they would travel with chatzotzros, and they would gather with chatzotzros, like it says in Parshas Behaloischa, and then it ends with that when they had sorrows, they would blow chatzotzros. Also in Parshas Behaloischa it says so, and therefore when they went to Midian, they also did the nekama with chatzotzros, and the lashon is b'chatzotzros also nekama. And it brings the pasuk of chatzotzros atrua biyadai, that when they went to Midian, they took the chatzotzros. But listen, after all, what's this whole arichos have to do with what we're saying over here, that they took chatzotzros to Midian for the nekama? It's a very strange thing to have to go through this whole grand arichos of Shabbos in order to get to Midian. And the Sefer Biur Amorim, which is on the Meshach Chumash, is a beautiful, beautiful explanation. He was one of the goyim in Varsha a long time ago in the Tafresh, and Lamaisi he says like this, that this they used was they used over here a shofar. It wasn't chatzotzros like we said, it's a shofar. And the power of a shofar we know is like the Rambam says about the shofar of Rosh Hashanah. In Perek Gimel Milchus Tshuva Halacha Dalet says the following: Aval Pishat Kiyas Shofar Rosh Hashanah Gzeres HaKosav, even though Kiyas Shofar Rosh Hashanah is a Gzeres HaKosav, Remez Yesh, but is a tremendous hint, which is to awaken those sleeping in the terrible sleep of the world of materialism, of Chomer and Havodim and all the vanities of this Olam Hazeh, and wake up, leave all your bad maisim and see what you can do good, remember your Creator, and so the Rambam says what went on over there. So says the Biur Amorim, a beautiful beer, that's what they used to use for coming into Shabbos. Because first of all, you had to also be able to disconnect from the week in order to, and also to connect to Shabbos. And also not only disconnect and connect in order to get the Kedusha of the Shabbos, you also would have to have a way of being able to have the power to stop in the middle of working and go and accept Shabbos. Lamaisa, a person in the middle of working wants to continue. But if you're going to be able to bring him to disconnect from the Havla Olam Hazeh, and he's going to start wanting to connect to the Rebbeinu Shalom, so then he's going to be able to leave the work and be able to come in and accept the Shabbos like it should be. And this way, that's what they would do. They would use Dafka the shofar, and he says a beautiful lashon that since the shofar has the power to frighten the heart of a person and to wake him up from this sleep of the vanities and stupidity and of materialistic life, and then person would be Yakuf as Yitzvah, he would conquer his Yetzer Hara, and he would leave his bad ways, and he would separate himself from what's against the will of the Rebbeinu Shalom, and this way he will be able to easy for him to leave his malacha even before he finished it, and he'll be able to be Kilu Kol Malacha Asuya, like all your malacha is finished. That's the way you have to come into Shabbos, like Rashi brings in the beginning of Parshas Bereshis. And therefore we understand this is a beautiful akdama to explain to us why you do nekama in Midian, dafka with the shofar, because the nekama in Midian was to uproot the connection to the world of Taivas which Midian brought into Klal Yisrael, and by using the chatzotzros and the shofar, it brings those people who already were tzaddikim to have a tremendous hatred to the Ra and to the materialism not being used properly, and this way they would come to a situation like the Biur Amorim just finishes off and says they would conquer the Yetzer totally, and they would be totally bottled. They would just become bottled to Roimemus Hashem, the exaltedness of the Rebbeinu Shalom, how great he is, and you would feel through that the sweetness of the light of Kedushas Yisbarach and the bitterness and darkness of Chet, of the Tumah of Chet, and this way they will come to do a Richtig and a Kama, and they were able to be Oiker from them and from Klal Yisrael, the Indian of the Taivas, and bring them to a world of Kedusha. So we understand why there's this long arichos about the Tkiyas of Erev Shabbos, which it gives us to understand what power of these Chatzoitzes was, and then we can understand why the Chatzoitzes Asu Nekama. But Rabbi Sai, the Zera Shimshon is a beautiful beer of B'derech HaPshat. And the reason why the Medrash was so myrich about the Indian of Chatzoitzes of Shabbos is because the Medrash one, it really holds, and this is says in other Svarim too, that the Milchemes Midyan happened on Shabbos. And the Cheshbon goes like this. It was because it was a tremendous mitzvah. And tremendous mitzvah, so it's like a Milchemes mitzvah. Though the Pnei Yeshua and Shabbos Samach Dalet Amud Aleph says it didn't have the dinim of Milchemes mitzvah of the 7 nations when they come into Eretz Yisrael that you have to totally annihilate. That's Milchemes mitzvah mamish with all the dinim of Milchemes mitzvah. This is a tremendous mitzvah dikim milchama. And she says, but it really, one could say that maybe it's not such a big mitzvah, because through this Moshe Rabbeinu will have to be leaving Klal Yisrael and be losing their great leader and their great mashpia, Moshe Rabbeinu. So mitzad echad you have the biur, destroying the bad. Mitzad sheni you have Moshe Rabbeinu being nifter, so you lose the good. So maybe the Milchama is not such a great mitzvah. So that's why he says, Zera Shimshon, the pasuk in the previous parasha says, Tzaroras HaMidyanim, which is a lashon of Hoive, of present tense, as if the whole time you're tzaror, meaning any time, including Shabbos. So the pasuk is trying to tell you you could do it on Shabbos, and the reason being, even though it's not the greatest mitzvah, like we said, because Moshe Rabbeinu will be nifter, but there is one point, that since the Milchemes Midyan says the Zera Shimshon, it says of the pasuk, "Yiyu al Midyan," they will be upon Midyan. Which, what's that mean? He says because really it was done in from Shamayim, and they didn't have such a great tirda. They weren't bothered so much that they would have Oynik Shabbos even with the Milchama, and they'd be able to eat with Oynik Shabbos, so it wouldn't bother them this, and they'd be able to have a good Shabbos. So this is what Sorah says, that this Milchama can be on Shabbos. So then, since it was done on Shabbos, anything that didn't have to do with the Milchama, all the Malachas, you need Chatzoitzos in order to tell us when Shabbos comes in. So the Medrash is Gufa trying to tell us that they needed the Chatzoitzos not only for the Milchama like usual, but also because of the Shabbos. And it's telling us that the Milchama was on Shabbos. This is Barichos written in the Zera Shimshon Ois Beis, and it's a beautiful beer. We have 2 biurim. One beer is that it's telling us what the concept of the Nekama with the Chatzoitzos is mitzad, the fact that the Shofar elevated and elevates Klal Yisrael from materialism to spiritualism, which gets them to therefore do the Nekama from Midyan in the proper way and destroy and every remnant of Taiva that they have within themselves, from all the hashpah, from all the influence of Midyan. And the other beer is the beer of the Zera Shimshon, who says that it's telling us that the Milchama was on Shabbos. Rabbi Sai, Lamai said, there's a moyudik thing over here, and that is that the Milchama was on Shabbos. One could add that that's the way to get rid of the world of Taiva, because Shabbos is a day of Echad. You connect it to the oneness of Rebbeinu Shloim. Shabbos is in the Zohar is a day of Ahava to Hashem. And Shabbos is Ko'ech Soif Noyam Shabbos. We feel the sweetness of the Shabbos. So that is really the day that if you want to be Oiker, the Indian of the Tumah of running after Taivas, if you want to be Oiker, that you have to do it through bringing in Avas Hashem and connection to the Rebbeinu Shloim. And that's what would tremendously bring forth the Nekama of Midyan in that oifen. So that's why it was dafka on Shabbos of Isai. So we learn from here what the koyach of Shabbos is, and this Shabbos is going to be Shabbos Chazak v'nit Chazek. We're finishing Chumash Bamidbar, and it's a time we have to be Mischazik, and every Shabbos should be a Shabbos of elevation. But Koshke, these Shabboses, which are Shabboses of the Emek HaBocha, like it's in the depth of the in morning, right? Because of the Bein HaMitzarim, like the holy Tefer Shleimus Yisrael Malenu says that Rav Lach Sheves Be'emek HaBocha is a remez that how great are the Shabbos, the Shabbos, which is the Emek HaBocha in the valley of tears, which is the Zman of tremendous tzaras of Bein HaMitzarim. So there's a whole arichos about that, but we know it's going to be a Moyudik Shabbos, so Hashem should help. We should all be able to be Zoichet and Mischazik in this Shabbos, and be able to have Chazak V'nit Chazek, and through that be Zoichet, Shabbos where then will be the Geula Shleima, when all these days will turn into Me'adim, Yom Tovim, and we'll all be Zoichet, the Lechikait, the Or of Mashiach Tzidkeinu, B'mheira B'yameinu, Amen, Kein Yehi Ratzayin. Good Shabbos for everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Chazak, V'nit Chazek.